We begin tonight with breaking news out of Cato in Cayuga County. Federal immigration agents conducted an operation at a food factory on Route 34 starting this morning. Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. Dozens of workers were detained at the Nutrition Bar Confectioners facility. Community concern is high. Immigrant support agencies were on scene almost immediately, and both Cayuga County deputies and deputies from neighboring Oswego County were on the scene to control traffic. Witnesses fear for the children who are returning to empty homes from their early days at school for the year.
Witnesses tell us federal agents stormed this factory just before 9 a.m. The Cayuga County Sheriff says he was asked to provide deputies for traffic and security assistance for a Homeland Security investigation. The Rural and Migrant Ministry, a statewide advocacy group for immigrants, has been here throughout the day. They shared this video, which shows people being led into a Border Patrol van. The agency says about 70 workers were detained, separated into groups of citizens and non-citizens, with many taken away from the facility. ICE confirms this was a, quote, court-authorized enforcement action, but wouldn't give more details, calling it an ongoing criminal investigation. Immigration advocates who did not want to go on camera say families still don't know what's next for their loved ones.
It's the first week of school. A lot of classes are starting for college students and everybody, but without any information, without any warning, this raid has disrupted a lot of families, hardworking families. You can even see it in the parking lot. A lot of people, their belongings, I don't know what happened to them, but all these cars are going to be sitting here in this parking lot. All the kids are going to come home from school and ask, where's my mom, where's my dad?
The Rural and Migrant Ministry says a Homeland Security officer told them that many of those arrested have been sent to the Oswego Border Patrol station. And county leaders have not responded to our questions at this time. And for now, this factory remains shut down as this investigation continues.
Ahí va Susana, ahí va Yacilda. Lo está metiendo al...
Video from outside the Nutrition Bar Confectioners, taken by the statewide advocacy group Rural and Migrant Ministry, shows people being led out and into a van labeled Border Patrol. They did not appear to be handcuffed, but they also appeared to not be allowed to go anywhere except the waiting van. The Rural Migrant Ministry says these people were taken to a detention center in Oswego County. The Sheriff's Department has not responded to our questions. And tonight, new video from what appears to be inside that facility when Homeland Security agents confronted workers inside. In the video, you see agents talking to workers, many of them on their phones, some of them recording the interactions. This video was sent to a source trusted by CBS 5 News, who then forwarded it to our news team. Our team reviewed the videos and found identifiable federal officers and workers that are seen in both. The officers can be recognized by their clothing. Some of them have logos for sports teams. CNY Central also reviewed the style of their body armor, vests and duty belts, along with the equipment attached to them to verify those seen in the two videos are the same people.
Daniela Mendez is one of many protesters who rallied outside the Border Patrol station in Oswego. Her aunt was one of the people detained in a raid on a food manufacturing plant in Cato.
Something really personal to me because it's my aunt who's in there, my aunt and another loved one who's in there, and I know that they might be scared. We have no idea.
As she spoke, dozens stood with her, calling for answers and for compassion.
The children, the husbands, the wives, the mothers, the fathers. So many people have been impacted.
You've got kids that went to sleep last night not knowing where their parents are. And I don't understand how anybody in this country could be okay with that.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now.
Mendez says families deserve clarity and a community deserves to stay together.
It's sad to see your community being put through fear, being terrorized, being broken apart from their families, from their children. It's unfair, it's unjust, and it is racism.
ICE confirms it was a court-ordered enforcement action. The Cayuga County Sheriff confirms his office did help with traffic and security, releasing a statement saying this was done with a search warrant obtained a month ago with a federal judge's approval. The I-Team's Mary Keeler's live for us in Cato tonight. Mary?
Yeah, good evening, guys. Tonight we're hearing from a community advocate who works with migrant and farm workers in this area, who says she knows people who were taken in the raid here at this plant in Cato yesterday by ICE. And we're also hearing from a local superintendent nearby who says 12 of his students are impacted by this, and either one or both of their parents were taken in this raid. This video from Ana Mendez shows the scene Thursday morning at Nutrition Bar Confectioners. Women are seen here walking in a line near a Border Patrol vehicle.
We saw people getting detained. We didn't see anyone in handcuffs outside, but the workers who were released did say that they were handcuffing people inside.
Mendez says the agency works with rural and farm workers and their families to connect them with services and opportunities. She personally knows employees who worked at the plant. Some people, she says, are in the process of becoming a citizen.
To know that they did not get any due process or were not even considered an essential part of the community, just because of their skin color and not because of their paperwork, is very difficult, very disappointing.
ICE only confirming this was a, quote, court-authorized enforcement action. Fulton City School District Superintendent Doug Lawrence is just settling into his role. And on the first day of school Thursday, his biggest test. 12 students learned one or both parents were taken by ICE in Cato while they were at work.
We found out because one of the parents reached out to one of our staff members. We wouldn't have known. The majority of the students impacted are elementary age students. We also had students at the junior high level and high school.
His team worked to make sure each student had a safe place with a trusted adult to go home to Thursday night. Lauren says there is palpable fear for these community members.
So you're saying some or a lot of them did not come to school today?
Correct.
Ana Mendez says it's those children that were top of mind for parents who employees say were taken in Cato. She says employees who were released shared details.
They were saying that the first thing that came to the workers' minds, people who were being detained, were their children. That's all they asked for. They asked, my children are in school, what's going to happen to them?
And tonight, new video from what appears to be the moment that Homeland Security agents confronted workers inside the facility. In this video, you can see agents talking to workers, most of them women, many of whom are using their phones to record the interaction or perhaps call family or for help. This video was sent to a trusted source of CNY Central, who then forwarded to our team.
Our team reviewed these videos and found identifiable federal officers and workers that are seen in both of them. The officers can be recognized by their clothing, some of whom have logos for sports teams and non-government organizations. CNY Central also reviewed the style of their body armored vests and duty belts, along with the contents attached to them to verify those seen in the two videos are in fact the same people.
Now, local law enforcement did help the federal officials in today's raid. Cayuga County Sheriff Brian Schenck says his office was contacted by the federal government to assist with traffic and security at the site while the Homeland Security investigation took place. The raid in Cato left dozens of families without answers tonight.
Yeah, that is certainly a question that we've been looking into. Gary Robinson Jr. spoke with part of the company's leadership and people who say loved ones may never come home to their families.
It started as a normal workday at Nutrition Bar Confectioners until federal agents swarmed the Cato factory. Lenny Schmidt is an owner of the company.
Came into work today and, a bunch of federal agents, sheriff's department were here conducting an investigation. I'm not sure how many, probably could be about 100. Wasn't able to get into the facility. They weren't letting anybody in there.
Schmidt says it was a terrifying scene. Officers with dogs and vehicles surrounding the factory.
The people that work for us are, every single one of them are wonderful people. You know, they work hard. They come to work smiling. You know, every one of them is special, and to have them taken away is not only unfortunate, it's just inhumane almost, the way you see it, you know, as it's being conducted.
Schmidt says most of those detained were Hispanic workers, and many families now have no idea where their loved ones are. Outside the factory, cars still sit in the lot, a stark reminder of the people who never went home.
It's the first week of school. A lot of classes are starting for, college students and everybody. This raid has disrupted a lot of families, hardworking families. All the kids are going to come home from school and ask, where's my mom, where's my dad?
Schmidt says the factory lost a full day of production, but the bigger loss is to the community.
You feel for these people that get taken away, and they have families, they have children, and they don't know what happened to them. You know, there's no warning, no rhyme or reason. It's just boom, gone.
We reached out to numerous state agencies for their response, and we are still waiting to hear back from many of them.
Last night, CBS 5 first reported as many as 60 workers were detained from Nutrition Bar Confectioners in Cayuga County on Thursday morning. Before the factory owners could arrive, immigrant advocates say agents of Homeland Security used a battering ram and a crowbar to get into the building. Video taken by an employee shows Homeland Security agents with the workers inside. In the video, you see the agents talking to workers. Many of them are on their phones, some of them recording the interactions. This video was sent to a trusted source of CNY Central News, who then forwarded it to our news team. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says it was a court-authorized enforcement action, but no one is explaining what that means. What court? Whose authorization? Tonight, the New York Times reports this was one of the biggest workplace raids in our state since the Trump deportation crackdown started. Local authorities say what happened yesterday in Cato was done with a search warrant obtained a month ago by a federal judge's approval. But CBS 5 has not been provided with a copy of that judicial warrant.
The people that work for us are, every single one of them are wonderful people. They work hard. They come to work smiling. Every one of them is special, and to have them taken away is not only unfortunate, it's just inhumane almost, the way you see it, as it's being conducted.
In response to news that some of the detained people were being held at a Border Patrol facility in Oswego County, a protest organized tonight. At first, a few people were gathered with homemade signs and bullhorns. As the sun went down, the crowd of demonstrators grew. Rural and Migrant Ministry, an advocacy group that works statewide, says the workers have been split by gender, with the women from the Cato facility entering detention here. The advocates fear they may soon be moved to a facility in Texas, like a family detained in Sackett's Harbor earlier this year.
Earlier today, the mayor of Fulton putting out a strong statement and condemning the ICE raid activity in Cato on Thursday. He says it's affecting this Fulton community here, like one mom that I met earlier today who says now her family is without their husband and father. For safety reasons, CNY Central is protecting the identity of a woman who says her husband of 13 years was taken by ICE.
We are from Guatemala. We've been living in the United States for over 10 years now. We have kids, 2 kids. They were in school. It was their first day of school when this happened.
Her kids, just 2 of the students impacted in the Fulton City School District. The superintendent previously confirming 12 lost one or both parents in the raid by ICE at Nutrition Bar Confectioners on Thursday.
They come from school and they ask, where's Papi? When is he coming home? And I have no answers for that.
After frantic calls all weekend, she tells me she finally heard from her husband.
He called and he said that they were being held in a detention center in Texas, and he didn't know what was going to happen because they were told that they have no rights in here.
She spoke to him again on Monday.
We basically have a life here. My kids have a life here. They were born here, and we have a house, and with him gone, I I don't know what I'm going to do.
Leaders like Fulton Mayor Jim Rice speaking out on the incident, strongly condemning the actions and lack of answers about what happened and why.
There's certainly a concern in the city of Fulton. I mean, we were impacted, school children in the city of Fulton and families, and the Fulton community is heartbroken over this.
Do you fear that you will never see him again?
Sometimes, yeah, but if he gets sent back, I guess we're gonna try to keep the family together. And
tonight, that mom and wife you just heard from, that raw emotion, she says she's not sure if her husband will be back in this country again, or, well, he is in Texas right now, if he'll be allowed back to Fulton, this community, again. And that still remains a question mark for so many others tonight as well. And we continue to press federal authorities for more answers to the questions we've been asking on behalf of the community too. Live in Fulton tonight, I'm Mary Keeler.
Mary, was she able to give any more insight as to when this raid happened, whether documents were inspected? Was there a process that allowed anybody who was in some form of legal employment to show that?
So the woman you heard from in that piece, she was very adamant in describing before she claims her husband was transported to Texas, where she says he is now, the Oswego border facility, border control and customs facility. She claimed they took those who had the work papers, those work permit cards, and she said, quote, they threw them in the trash. So other advocates, that mom and wife, telling me they are fearful that due process did not happen and didn't start at that point.
The Homeland Security investigation at Nutrition Bar Confectioners has left this small town shaken. We spoke to neighbors about the impact and what it means for the community here. It started as a normal workday at Nutrition Bar Confectioners until federal agents swarmed the Cato factory. We spoke with a neighbor who lives just around the corner and asked not to be shown on camera. She says the scene was unlike anything she'd ever seen.
Well, I mean, it was kind of surreal. I think there was helicopters, there was a lot of traffic. Traffic was stopped.
She says the raid left people in the community on edge, unsure of what comes next.
Well, I think people are looking over their shoulders now, but I'm sure people will be wondering, and asking a lot of questions to their neighbors. I don't know. I know that's what we did.
Acting U.S. Attorney John A. Sarcone III says Thursday's raid in Cato is just the beginning of his department's focus on enforcing immigration laws at work sites. In a news conference Tuesday, he said American citizens deserve access to all jobs in their community. It's a sentiment this neighbor agrees with.
My son, who is trying to find a job, and did one of those people that were here, not on the books, did they have a job that my, 20-year-old son could possibly get? I don't know. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Many are still reluctant to speak publicly, but the questions remain. What happens next for those detained and for the community left behind?
Well, for the first time tonight, we're hearing from the U.S. Attorney in charge of deporting dozens of undocumented workers who were detained last week while on the job in Cato. Good evening. I'm Matt Mulcahy.
I'm Megan Coleman. His message: if you're not supposed to be here, get out or face the consequences. Our news crew was in Albany today as the acting U.S. Attorney John Sarcone spoke out about Thursday's raid. It happened at Nutrition Bar Confectioners in Cato. Dozens were rounded up, put into vans, and taken away. Some to Texas, others sent back to their country of origin, all while family here in New York was left wondering if their loved ones are safe.
We now know that exactly 57 employees were detained for being undocumented immigrants. And of those 57, 5 have been criminally charged for illegally re-entering the U.S. after being removed at least once before.
The felony which they've committed undermines the security of our borders and the safety of our communities.
Acting U.S. District Attorney John Sarcone started his news conference in Albany with a warning to employers, saying prosecutors will be aggressive in pursuing criminal investigations against employers who hire undocumented immigrants without authorization. He also said federal law enforcement will be ramping up workplace investigations.
We owe it to the American people. We owe it to the citizens that reside in the Northern District of New York, which has relatively high unemployment rates.
The 5 employees that were caught for illegal re-entry into the U.S. before are currently detained for prosecution, according to Sarcone. They could face up to 2 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. The 52 other employees have been deported to their origin country.
There's a lot more to come, and we will get to the bottom of how these individuals ended up at this factory.
Sarcone did not reveal what led ICE to go to Nutrition Bar Confectioners in Cato, saying that's part of the ongoing investigation. Sarcone says his department is investigating if Nutrition Bar Confectioners treated the workers fairly. He also says children of these workers did not go home to an empty house and were met coming off school buses with resources his team helped provide.
They had notice, and they've done this to themselves. They've done this to their families. They're the ones responsible. If I did something reckless and it impacted my family, that's on me. So doing something illegal, it is illegal to come into the country without proper authorization.
And what about those those children that now their parents are being taken away?
Well, I honestly don't know what, but I'm sure there's some mechanism for them to join their parents in their country of origin.
According to the district attorney, the employees that were deported waived their rights, which allowed them to be sent back to their country very quickly. We asked if any of these undocumented workers were working towards their visas, and he says he has no information about this, and to quote, says they blew it.
Jose Perez has a long history of working on immigration cases in our state. 6 of the people detained in Cato last week are his clients.
So they go, to Cato because they know that there were a lot of, people from other countries working there, probably about half of the whole force, and then they just stop there. So there is no real investigation now. It is just a matter of stereotyping who looks Latino, who speaks Spanish. Let's take them down.
One of his clients already deported to Guatemala, an example of the swift action from the federal government.
They're claiming that many people are subject to what's known as expedited removal rather than regular deportation proceedings. And if you are in expedited removal, then you have a lot fewer rights to be able to contest the deportation charges.
Stephen Yale-Lair, a retired Cornell law professor, says undocumented immigrants can apply for asylum, which can lead to getting a work permit. He says more and more ICE is claiming such people can be arrested and detained.
And part of the issue with that is that the work permit itself doesn't actually give them the basis not to be detained. For instance, if the ICE wants to detain them for any reason that they may think that they are violating some laws or any other type of infractions, they may be detained. The problem with this type of detention is that they were not doing anything. They didn't have criminal records. They are not the worst of the worst that the administration is trying to pin them.
Perez says the families of those detained are experiencing a range of emotions, all while having to carry on with everyday life and the fear of what they could be sent back to.
We have other people that are escaping violence, domestic violence, that are escaping, gang-related issues in other countries where the gang members are trying to recruit your children. And I have talked after this raid with a family that was the mother of 2 children that was crying here in my office just yesterday and telling me, Jose, I'd rather die than go back and take my children back to, in this case was Honduras.
Protesters are still gathered here tonight voicing their outrage for last week's raid. They're calling on Oswego leaders to help those who are impacted. Protesters continued to camp outside the Oswego Border Patrol Station Monday night in support of the roughly 60 Cato factory workers detained by Homeland Security last week. Most of them sharing their outrage at the Oswego Common Council meeting.
This is wrong, because it absolutely is wrong. And I'm pleading, I'm begging, I'm demanding that Mayor Cordino and the Common Council demand that this is wrong, that the city of Oswego does not stand for this.
Among those taken was a mother who was actively breastfeeding her baby. She was just separated from her infant and taken to Border Patrol facility right here in Oswego.
Protesters also raised concerns regarding the officer who they said showed a non-lethal pepper ball gun while they were peacefully protesting.
What I saw in that video today were two people with guns on foot. One of them looked like a paintball gun. I suspect there was pepper shot in it. He was the one with it pointed at the protesters who had not done anything to initiate violence or fear.
Not everyone at the meeting had the same feelings on the raid, some expressing support for the federal agents.
They screened them as, get that sign out of here. They screened everybody in that place to make sure they weren't the enemy of the country.
Protesters say they will not stop until there is change.
The community's voice is trying very desperately to be heard. Everyone I've encountered feels very strongly that these are the wrong sort of tactics to take with people who live and work in our communities.
We have breaking news this morning. CNY Central has obtained the federal criminal complaints against 5 individuals detained from Nutrition Bar Confectioners in Cato last Thursday. The documents allege that the 5 individuals had been previously deported from this country and then re-entered.
Each individual is charged with re-entry of a removed alien. 4 are originally from Guatemala and 1 is originally from Mexico, according to those documents. They also detail each alleged deportation and re-entry of each individual.
Right behind me, protesters are still here after days, keeping a daily presence. And tonight, they say they are still fighting for answers, and they're looking to do so peacefully, even when the city attorney says that they are breaking the law. Nearly a week after the Cato raid, protesters are still outside the Oswego Border Patrol station, determined to keep watch.
Well, the vibe out here tonight is much like the vibe every other night that I've been able to be here with the protesters. It is encouraging for immigration, for the families of immigrants.
Request to remove tents. Dear Ms. Scardella.
The Oswego City Attorney visited today, telling protesters they can't keep tents on public property. Some say the message doesn't match the mayor's words of support.
It's kind of contradicting itself a little bit, like we support you, but you can't be here. So how are you able to support the cause?
Others say the protest has become a place of healing for families still searching for answers.
One of the nieces of an aunt that was inside the facility came up to where we were standing, and I asked her, I said, "Are you a relative to someone inside?" And she told me, "Yeah, my auntie's in there." And she kind of leaned into me, and I put my arm around her, and she stepped into my strength, and I just held her. And I said, "I'm not going to leave your aunt."
Another protester says the effort is about transparency, about the investigation and those detained.
We wanted to make sure, we wanted to be available and aware when they were moved, who they are, and we want that information. We want those answers. And so the goal is for people to occupy this space until we get those answers.